Thank you, Roger. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Slome. I'm a partner at Cullen and Dyckman, and I'm the treasurer of the New York City Bar. I'll be giving the association's financial report for fiscal year ending April 30th, 2020. The association's revenues were $13.8 million. Its expenses were $14.4 million. You could do the math. The result is a deficit of approximately $660,000. COVID-19 and the lockdown have had a significant effect on our operations and finances, as you would expect. And we estimate approximately half of that $660,000 deficit was caused by the pandemic and its effect on operations and finances in April and March of this year. The building here has been closed since March, but the staff, I must commend them, have been quick to adjust to a remote style workforce. Our continuing legal programs have moved to remote learning almost without skipping a beat, and I have firsthand knowledge that they're going strong, being part of a panel tomorrow. Our 150 or so committees have moved to conducting their meetings by phone or Zoom or other remote platforms. Prior to the pandemic, legal referral services had already set up their business model, with most work being done remotely, in part because the staff mainly does the staff in that program mainly does phone calls and emails. So legal referral services continues to field calls from the public, much as they did before the pandemic, and make the appropriate referrals to attorneys in the program. Our virtual law program, which the association provides a mailing address for attorneys and access to online research in the library, continues to receive mail for program members. And we negotiated deals with computer research companies like LexisNexis and Westlaw to allow the members access to computer research from locations other than the library and probably most often their homes. Our program hardest hit is meeting services. That's our program that provides a short-term rentals for portions of the building for things like meetings, parties, weddings, bar mitzvahs, movie shoots, you name it. It is not generating any revenue due to lockdown with the complete shutdown of the building. But overall, our support staff has quickly adapted to working remotely, and they've continued to provide support to our membership and the programs our members use. With respect to the budget, which Joe alluded to, when the COVID-19 epidemic first surfaced, the executive committee approved the budget that contemplated a deficit for fiscal 2021, this year we're now, of over $1.2 million. But through various measures the association has been able to take with significant time and effort by Brett Parker and his staff, the executive committee recently approved a revised budget reflecting a deficit of only $539,000 for this current fiscal year. A lot of measures were put into place. We stopped the 401k match that we had in place for employees. We reduced salaries by 5 to 15% for all association staff earning greater than $140,000. We eliminated salary increases for most staff earning more than $50,000. We also intend to reduce the late night library hours when the building reopens. We'll have it close at 5 p.m. instead of 9 p.m., which it was before it closed down, and that will save on library personnel costs. Also, starting June 1, we are going to furlough a number of workers who are in roles tied to the building being active, with the goal of them returning at some point. As I mentioned, we moved most of our programs and all CLEs to remote platforms. We have eliminated all live programs, and we expect to continue to have that in effect through at least August 31st. Similarly, meeting services programs are shut down through at least that same date. Also, to help with the situation, we applied for and received the Sba Paycheck Protection program that most of you are familiar with. That was obtained by the City Bar Fund, and it enabled the association to receive some of that money in exchange for the services the association provides to the City Bar Fund. And we do expect and hope that that loan will be forgiven almost in its entirety and in fact become a grant. We also applied for a low interest loan with a new SBA program, and that application is currently pending. Finally, we negotiated a temporary $2 million interest-free loan from the City Bar Fund, which is holding several million dollars of the 150th anniversary campaign funds. We are going to use that money to temporarily pay down our commercial line of credit with substantial interest savings. Look, obviously, there continues to be great uncertainty about what the future holds, including the possibility that the building will not fully open it for some time. And certainly we're not going to open it until we can ensure the health and safety of our staff members and guests. Obviously, we're going to continue to monitor events and adapt as necessary. One positive note I'd like to make is that, and one which I think will help keep finances stable, is that almost half of the association's revenues come from membership dues. The membership excluding law students is $24,133. That's an increase of $578 over the prior year. And it's good that despite the pandemic, the association is growing. Total membership is 25,615 now, which is the highest in the association's history. So a bright spot. A little bit on capital improvements. Before the pandemic, we instituted a capital campaign to make various improvements to the building. The meeting hall, which you see a photo of behind some of the features, has had a technology upgrade, new seating, carpeting, drapes, and a new large flat screen TV. Also, we've had various planning sessions with architects and the like regarding other projects, including revamping the library and replacing our roof, but of course, that's all on hold for the time being. Our investment portfolio, not surprisingly, the association's investment portfolio decreased by a significant amount over the previous year. The decrease was just a little over 1.2 million from 14.2 million at the end of fiscal year last year to 13 million at the end of April. By the way, it's up since then. This decrease is not just due to the market loss, but also in part due to our regular annual withdrawal of 4.75% of a rolling average of that portfolio, which for 2020 was $662,000. We use that annual withdrawal for association operations, which is a common thing in a not-for-profit world. Our investment portfolio, as you would expect, consists of various managed accounts, and our funds are invested in a diversified mix of assets. We have our investments actively managed by the association's investment consultant, which is Colonial Consultant, and by our Committee on Investment of Funds, chaired by John Baumgartner. That committee usually meets only quarterly, but in light of the pandemic's effect on investments, that committee has had 2 ad hoc meetings to review and approve portfolio adjustments recommended by Colonial Consultant over the past month and a half. To go along with everything I've said so far, not surprisingly, the assets of the association have decreased, which is primarily due to the decreased market value of the investments. There has also been an increase in liabilities, and that's primarily due to a higher utilization of the line of credit to cover the losses we experienced at the end of the fiscal year. The preliminary balance sheet of the association as of the end of the fiscal year, again, April 30th, 2020, shows assets of approximately 23.2 million, total liabilities of 10.4 million as compared to the previous year's 24.6 million in assets and 9.7 million in liabilities. I want to let everybody know that our audited financials are available to any member of the association from the association's chief administrative officer, and they'll also be available to all members on the association's website in the coming week. To conclude, let me just say that the executive committee and the City Bar staff will continue to monitor this pandemic, make all necessary adjustments to our operations as needed, that we can continue to serve the bar, the profession as a whole, and the public. Thank you, and before I finish, I just want to thank Roger for his service as the outgoing president, Sheila as the incoming president. I look forward to working with you, and Joe, thank you very much for your service as chair of the executive committee.